Hey y'all, it's Yvette, and I am ready to start sewing up week 2 in the Alison Glass 2023 Trinket, her second edition. Okay, so the second week of Trinket 2023 from Alison Glass will have this is the line block number 6. These two are numbers 7 and 8. And we're doing number 9 and number 10. So let's head on over and get these cut out. Okay, so here are our templates that we're going to cut out. And yesterday what I noticed was I definitely wanted to make sure that I wrote on the templates which pattern it was, because I did get that a little mixed up yesterday. So I am just going to cut one of each for right now. That way I don't have to sit here and label like a whole bunch of things. And I'm just going to write lines 6. And then on this one, I'm going to write lines 7 and lines 8. And take one from the back. I'm going to have, this one is going to be lines 9 and lines 10. Okay, and this will be just fine because I just want it, when it's finished, I want it to say on the actual template which pattern it was. So I'm not going to write it on all the pieces. I'll be able to just put them all together. Okay, so I'm going to cut them apart. And I think Jellybean wants a snack. I think that's what he keeps coming around. They're trying to talk me into like getting them a snack. And it's my fault. I should have done it before I started filming. So I'm going to quickly, and also when they jump from the table to the window, it shakes the entire table. So I'm really sorry about that. I wish I could figure out some way to make everything really sturdy, but I haven't been able to figure anything out yet. Even whenever I put like weights or something on the table, it doesn't seem to do anything. Okay, so I'm sitting here, I'm thinking I might actually have to write on here that it's line 6, because if they get mixed up by accident, I mean, obviously I'm going to try to keep them together, but if it happens by accident, I'll totally be in trouble. So I think I'm just going to do a 6. I don't have to write the whole thing because I know I'm about to put them together now. So I'm just going to do 9, and then this one will have 10 and 10 because there's 3 pieces. And then I'll write 8 and... oh, that one's all one piece. Yay! Okay, so let's keep cutting. Now that I have them, I'll do it this way, I think. I know yesterday whenever I was making the first video, because I'm a little bit behind due to a lot of personal things that have been going on, I came across like these crazy things that were happening. Like the sound on my video like was so low, you guys. I have no idea what happened. That has never happened to me before. I guess I should knock on wood. But when it does happen, then you're at a point where there's, you try to do what you can to fix it, and it either works or it doesn't work. And then and then on top of that, I ended up recording the putting together of the entire piece, and my camera was in portrait mode instead of landscape mode. You guys, it's almost like one of those perfect storms where if anything was going to go wrong, it was all going to go wrong. And that's what happened. yesterday while I was filming. And let me tell you, it's not fun. It's really not fun. Especially when there's hardly anything you can do about it. I did go online and figure out how to make the portrait look better. In other words, I definitely didn't want to have those black bars on either side. So I fixed that part, but then what it did was it focused in on a very small part of what I was filming. And so you didn't get to see every single thing I was doing. Oh, so I apologize, you guys. This one is going to be much better, I promise. I actually went and tested what was going on with my sound, and I still can't figure it out. So right now, I'm practically shouting so that I can make sure that the volume is okay. And I figure I can just, that it'd be better if I have to lower the volume on everything rather than try to make it louder, which is almost impossible. Because that's what I ran into yesterday. So, I have been watching everyone's progress on Instagram, and I think there are you guys have the most creative minds, and I love it. And I think we all kind of do, you know, as creators, we do have some good ideas, and so I love watching what you guys are all doing because it helps me to be a little more creative. And I think that it does that for everyone. So when you share your ideas, you're kind of helping everybody to be just that little bit more creative, you know? Okay, so that one is got that little part on the end that I wanted to cut off. Let me get this one. Oh, I thought I was almost done. I actually have 2 more left. Oh, I got 3 more left. What am I doing? Oh my goodness, there's something wrong with me. Okay. I think what it is, if you have never made a YouTube video before, when you're doing this part of any project, like the cutting or just anything like that, where there's really nothing to talk about, sometimes it can be a little difficult to think of things to talk about. And then sometimes I think, well, maybe I don't really have to talk about anything. Maybe I can just do the thing and everyone would be happy just listening to my rotary cutter or whatever it is that I'm using. But then the other part of that is if my volume is really low, I'm able to sort of counteract that by me speaking loudly, but I haven't figured out a way to cut loudly. Like, your rotary cutter is going to do what your rotary cutter is going to do. All right, I think I'm just going to kind of eyeball these, to tell you the truth. It's taking longer for me to try to arrange it than it is for me to just cut it. Okay, so I'm just going to do that. 1, 2. And get this little guy. Let's do this side. Okay. And then this guy. All right, now we got 2 more. Or did I do this one? Hold on, I think I did this one already. Because I think yes, okay. All right, so I am finished with my template cutting. Let me just put this all into my trash can. It's the only thing about these papers on a cutting mat is they stick a little bit. Okay, so I have all my pieces. Let's head over and start sewing. Okay, so we're going to start with block number 6. And since I have them labeled now, I'll be able to show them to you in the order in which Alison intended us to do them. Okay, so when you're looking at this particular template, you'll see there's 2 pieces. And so what she has done is she has put an arrow so that you know where to join the pieces together. Okay, so we're going to make each piece one at a time. But actually, I'm probably going to just do mine at the same time because you're going to be putting them together and everything. In other words, the fabrics that you put in number 1 is going to be the same in both number 1s and both number 2s and both number 3s. So, unless you don't want to do that, but that's how it looks like she intended from the finished blocks that we see in her patterns. So that's what I'm going to do. And so the fabrics that I'm going to choose for that, I already know that I would like for the 2 middle pieces to probably be this cream color that I have here on top. And then I'll have the colors on the outside. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the same colors for 2 and 3. I just kind of like that look. So I'm going to cut my number 1 fabric first. And let's see here. Now I need 2 pieces. So I'm probably just going to go ahead and cut both at the same time. Maybe I can do it this way. Yep, I'm just making sure that I'm above the selvage. Okay, actually this is not lining up together, so I'm gonna just to make it easier on myself, I'm just gonna cut 2 pieces. That way I don't have to worry about it too much. And I'm just gonna go all the way across. I think that'll be easier just on me. So I'm going to do that, and then I'll cut here, and I'll go across the same way. And it looks like we're going to go to about there. Might have overshot it a little bit, but that's okay. Boop. Okay. Let me give this a quick press just so that I can get that bump out of it. I don't have to like press it a whole lot. I just don't want that little bump to be in it. And now I'm just going to cut off the selvage. And oh my goodness, like somebody left me a comment telling me what that was. Oh, and I didn't write it down. So if I don't write it down, I'm not going to remember. It was something with a T. If you go into the comments from the day 1 video, you'll see where she commented on that. Okay, so these are my 2 number 1s, and let me see, what do I want to be on the outside for this one? I think I want it to be like something very bright. I think I'm going to do this purple. I mean, I kind of like the blue, but it's got these little purple pieces on the flower. So I think I'm going to do the purple. Okay, so that means I'm just going to cut across to get the selvage off. Okay, and then I'm going to need 4 pieces. And so I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut all the way across, and let's see how we can cut those and see if I can get all 4 out of one strip. That would be ideal. Okay, let me just fold this up. I know it's probably kind of silly because what if I don't have enough? Then I got to unroll it, but I'll just deal with that if that happens. Not a worry. Okay, so it'll be easier at this point for me to use my rotary cutter because I can just, that will be just fine. And then I'm just going to take, they're all going to be the same. So I'm just going to take that piece and like do that. And same here. It looks like we'll be just fine. Okay. So let's get sewing on this one. And actually, I'm still seeing that little bump. And since it's going to be in the middle, I'm going to give it like a real quick best press spray. And then that way I get it nice and smooth. Okay, so let's get started. I'm going to put my first fabric on number 1. And my first fabric is going to go on, it's going to be pretty side, already facing the pretty side of the finished template, because we're not going to be folding this over and sewing and pressing. So how you see it here is how it's going to be whenever we're done with it. So the very first one, you want to have basically the pretty side away from you, and on the finished side, because this is like your pretty side of your template and this is your working side of the template. So now I'm going to put number 2 toward the top, and I'm going to take a piece of my purple fabric with the pretty side facing me, and I'm going to put it behind the template, and I want it to be at least 1/4 inch from the line that we're going to sew on, which is our seam allowance. And also just all the way around. So you want to make sure that on this side, and up here, that it is at least 1/4 inch above this line, which we're going to sew on right now. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and do the other one at the same time, since we're adding the exact same thing, except it is the opposite way. Other than that, it's still the same. Again, I'm moving the fabric to the back of the template, and I'm going to make sure it's 1/4 inch all the way around. I need to pull this over a little bit so that it'll cover all of that. Okay, that looks good. I hope I'm, let me see if I'm covering everything. I think so. Okay. Okay, so now I'm going to take the number 2, I'm going to put it to the right side of the line that we sewed on. I'm going to fold it over. And then I'm going to use my add 1/4 ruler to trim. And I do that same thing on this one. And now I'm going to press. Okay, so now we're ready to add on piece number 3 on each of these. And I'm going to show you, if you're thinking that this is kind of like what I call a funky angle, you can always fold back on this line. It does not have to be precise. You just need to kind of get an idea of where it's going to land so that you can make sure that your fabric that you're going to be putting on is going to cover that area. Okay, so all I'll do is I'll take my fabric, I'm still going to move it to the back, and I'm just going to make sure that it is going to cover this whole piece that is folded over in the front and have 1/4 inch all the way around. So I just want to make sure that that's happening. Now what I'll do is I'll hold it up to the light. That helps me a lot so that I know I'm getting it in the right spot. And bright lights will always help you, or an outside light. So if you've got a really great window and you've got loads of bright sunshine flowing through, that is amazing as well. I'm going to do the same with this one. I might have cut this one a little wrong. I don't think so though. Or I didn't make it big enough. We're going to find out in a second here. If I can't get this darn thing to go, I'm going to have to cut another piece. And see, this is what I'm always trying to avoid, guys. Always trying to avoid this because it's not fun. Okay, I think that what I'm going to do, that part's all covered, and that's fine. I've got just, this is very close, this little piece right up here, but I'm going to go ahead and just leave it. I'm making that executive decision that it's going to be okay. Okay, here we go. Okay, so now I'm going to take the other side, there we go, and I'm going to fold it over and trim. Okay, and now I'm going to press. Okay, so now I'm going to trim these. Okay, so now we have both of our pieces for number 6, and we're going to want to join them on this piece right here. So just like with any other kind of traditional piecing, you're going to put the right sides together, and then we're going to be sewing along this top. So I'm going to show you what I do. If you want to do something different, you're perfectly welcome. This is just how I handle it. I like to use Wonder Clips, and I put them along the edge that I'm going to be sewing on, first of all, so I don't forget. And secondly, so that it just keeps everything all held together and I don't have to worry about being careful and all of that. So now what I do to make sure that I'm getting everything in the right place is I take a straight pin, and first I go into the corner right at that spot. And then I flip it over and I look and I see, and it's in the same spot. So that's great. That's one test. Then I'm going to, in this particular case, we have these 2 points that are supposed to meet together. So the way I test it is I just also, let me see, where are my glasses? Because I should probably, you know, make sure I'm actually seeing what I'm doing here. You know, the older we get, the more we can't see anything. Okay, so I'm going to put my straight pin right at that juncture. Am I in there? I think I am. Okay, and then I look on the other side, and it's pretty near perfect. And I'm going to do the next one. I just test them all, because you also could have gotten like a little crooked or something. And that looks perfect. Okay, so I think that I'm good, but I'm going to go right in this last corner. And that looks good too. Okay, so I'm just going to sew across. And I'll be honest with you, even if mine were off like the tiniest little bit because of a mistake that I made, I would be fine with it, because yeah, life's too short. I've learned that along the way. I do the best I can to get it as close as possible, and if something happens that it's not exactly perfect, then I just am happy with it. Nobody notices that stuff anyway. We all think they're going to, but they don't. Okay, now for me, I like to keep the papers on all of my blocks for as long as possible, with the exception of inside the seam allowance. I always tear those papers off, because once you press it, then those papers would just get caught in there and you'll never get them out. So I always take those papers off. Okay, and every time that I am pressing a joint between 2 pieces on one block, I always press open, unless for some reason it's just not possible, but that I've never come across that very much. So in order to reduce the bulk of what you will get with foundation paper piecing, I will always press open. So that's what I'm going to do now. Okay, so block number 6 is done. So I'm going to put that to the side. And now we're going to go to line block number 7. And this one is going to be quite easy because there's nothing to sew together. It's just one block. Those are always easier than anything else for sure. So now I need to choose my fabrics. So let's take a look here. Let's see, what do I want to do? I think that, you know, because the other blocks that I just made, I basically used just color, because this particular type of line from Alison did not have like a cream or anything. So I think what I'm going to do is, as much as possible on these blocks, while I do have the option of the cream, I'm going to use the cream as often as possible, just to bring a little bit of brightness, like or that pop of white in there, because I'm also going to have quite a dark background going on. So my number 1, I'm going to make it this white guy here, or cream. And so we don't need a very big piece. I'm just sort of eyeballing it. And then I will cut the selvage off. Okay, so that's my number 1 piece. I'm gonna lay that flat down. And then, let me see here. I think I'm gonna not do purple because I just did that. So let's look at what I have left. Looks like I've got the coral, the blue, the mustard, and I'm just gonna call that green. Okay, so I think what I want to do, let's see. I really think I want to do these 3 colors. So that's what I'm going to do. And my favorite of all of those is always going to be the one that's closest to pink. So I'll probably let that one be the biggest piece on that block. So let me cut my other 2. Now, I did not do blue. I skipped blue for this one. I'll probably put a blue in the next one just so that I'm getting it used. And there we go. How far do I want to go? That's far enough, I think. And I'm just going to cut across. And I'll cut the selvage off. Okay. And that's going to be the last one. So I'm going to wait. I'm going to just put that one to the side for a second. And I'm skipping the purple. Oop. Okay, so I think I'm going to put the yellow as number 2. So let's get that one in there. You can see where the selvage is. I'm going to go to about here. I'm just going to cut a square, guys, instead of going kind of triangle-like. It's just so much easier to cut. And then when you're cutting subsequent pieces, it just is, it's more linear. So I'm going to do that. And I'm going to cut off the selvage. All right, so this is number 2, so I'm going to lay that one down on top of number 1. And then I'm going to do the green, which is our number 3. And let's see if I put that there. Probably want to go to about there. And to about there. Should be plenty. All right, I'm gonna cut off the selvage. And I'm gonna put that face down. And let me fold all of these back. I'll just kind of lift this up and shake them out a little bit. Okay. And then I'm going to take the number 4 and flip that right side down, and we're ready to start sewing. Okay, so I'm going to take my number 1 fabric and I'm going to turn it pretty side away from me, and I'm going to cover number 1. And it is plenty covered. There is nothing. So what I could do at this point is I could try to make sure I got like one of these little flowers right in there. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to move this over because there's still plenty of room all the way around. If I do that. All right, that looks pretty right there. I'm going to turn number 2 to the top. I'm going to take my yellow fabric and I'm going to move it to the back of the template. I think, how do I want to do that? Let's put that, let's see if I do, that's not going to cover the whole way. So if I do it this way, I think I have to kind of turn it a little funky. Okay, so let me just, I'm just going to use my fingernails just so I could fold this back a little bit. And it doesn't have to be perfect, okay? So all I need to know is that I have, if I look at it again, it's this little piece right here. I can see where it is. And I just need to make sure that it's all covered with my fabric. So I can twist and turn it any old way I want, just so long as it covers that whole piece. I need to pull it up just a little bit, or pull it down over here just a little bit. And that looks good. That looks good over here. And now I'm gonna real quick kind of also eyeball and see where my flower is, because it kind of got moved a little bit. I don't know, just for me, being able to sort of play with the fabric and move it around and manipulate it to where I want, to me, I like doing that. This is every single thing about FPP. I just love, I really do. I like feeling that I am in control of where everything is laying, you know? So what I do is I make sure that my needle goes right in that exact spot. Some people do it differently. If it works for you guys, then it works. So don't change what you're doing just because I'm doing it differently. If it's always worked for you, then it is fine. I'm just showing the people who have, who want to learn how to FPP, how I do the process, because there is more than one way to do pretty much everything in quilting. So that's why I personally really mean it when I say there are no quilting police. It's just crazy. If it's working for you, then it's working and it's fine. Okay, so now I'm just going to sew right across, and I'm going to try to stop right in that, right there in the middle. If I can't get it right in the middle, it's best to go over a little bit. Okay, because you want to make sure all of your seams are getting crossed. Okay. Okay. So now I am going to fold that back, and then I'm going to trim it. And now I'm going to press. Okay. So now I'm going to take my fabric number 3. I'm going to do the same thing where I'm going to fold it back just to make sure I'm going to cover that whole piece. Okay. And I can see through here exactly with my big bright light exactly what I need to cover. Okay, and I can see that everything is covered just fine right here. So I am going to take it without thinking about anything and, oh, that looks funky. Don't worry about it. You know it's covering your spot because you just checked everything. So now I'm going to go ahead and sew that line. So our seam allowance line. I think I go one more just to be on the safe side. Okay. And now I'm going to fold it back and trim it. And now I'm going to press. Okay, now it's time for the last piece. So I'm going to turn number 4 to the top. I'm going to take my coral piece, move it to the back of the template, and I'm just going to make sure it's at least 1/4 inch above the line I'm going to sew, which is our seam allowance. And I'm going to sew that now. Okay, going to fold this back and trim. And then press. Okay, so now I just need to trim up my square. Okay, and there is our second block. So we'll put that to the side. And now we are on number 8. And number 8 has 2 pieces. And I think in this particular case, I just want to make sure that I'm looking at this one the way I think it should end up looking. So here's what I think I'm going to do. I think that I'm going to leave... Oh, I'm so... Do you guys get like this? I'm afraid I'm going to make the wrong decision. Okay, there is no wrong decision. This is just an abstract thing. That's what I'm going to tell myself. So I think I'm going to put number 2 the same color, number 3 the same color. And I think I'm going to make number 1 2 different colors. I think that's what I'm going to do. Let's try it. I mean, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to try that, and let's see how it looks. Okay, so number 1 at the top, I'm going to make that the cream color. Because like I said, I'm going to try to put, I'm going to try to make the cream color as one piece in everything so that it kind of will, I don't know, I think it'll just pop a little bit. A lot of times we're like trying to use color to make it pop. And now this time I think I'm going to try to make the white to make it pop. Okay, so for this one, I'm going to put number 1 face down. That's a really big piece, but that's okay. Okay. I think I want number 4 to be the blue. So I wonder if number 2 and number 3 should be the same color. I could do that. I could do, I think I'm going to do that. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to make 2 and 3 the same color. So this will sort of be like a sky, so to speak. This can kind of be like the water. And this will be like a little two-tone ship. That's what I'm going to do. Let's just see how it's going to look. Okay, so I'm going to make 2 and 3 this yellow color so that it sort of looks like it's sunshiny. All right. And, you know, I'm going to be making 2 more of everything. So if I don't like it at all, I can always change it for the others, you know, like make it something different. See if I can make it look completely different. Like you won't even know that it was the same block. Okay, let's see here. Number 2 and number 3. It looks like if I cut number 3... here, it'll be plenty, and then I should have plenty for number 2. So I'm going to go number 2, number 3, and I'm going to take this part, I'm going to put it on top of there, over in this section so that I know that one's ready. Okay, so now this number 1, I think I'm going to make that, what would the blue look best against? I think I'm going to do I think I'm going to make the boat green. Use the green one, I think. I was going to do purple, but I think that the green might look better. Okay, I'm going to just go for it. We're going to go for the green. I think I'm just going to cut this across. I'll have another piece to use later because it's taking longer to try to make them fit with one little spot. Okay. No worries. So now, number 1, will that fit there? Yep. Okay, so I'm just going to put that there and cut this piece across. Okay, number 1, face down. I'm going to put this piece over there. And then number 2 and number 3 are going to be the yellow. And I'm going to do the same thing where I'm just going to, I'm going to cut across here. I hope I went big enough. Oh yeah, okay. So I'm going to do, that's number 3, and then number 2. Let's see if I put that there. Okay, I can cut across here. That should be fine. All right, so 2, 3, and then the blue. I haven't even cut any blue yet. I had no idea. Okay, so I'm gonna cut a big old piece of blue right now. I'm going to, I gotta remember that the selvage is there. So let me just cut across here. And just going to cut my piece off first because that'll be easier to cut the selvage off, smaller piece. Okay, this piece I'm going to put over here to use later. This piece I'm just going to cut the selvage off. And there's number 4. Okay. So now I'm going to just fold up my fabric. And I'm going to flip this over. That's this piece. And then I'm going to go ahead and do this one first. Okay. So number 1, I'm going to take it and I'm going to put it right there. Oops, wrong way. I want to put it pretty side away from me. I'm going to try to get a flower in there. Might as well, right? And then number 2, I'm going to put that one on first. So I just want to make sure I'm covering everything. I'm just going to fold back right there. Hold this up. Take my yellow. I'm just going to make sure I'm covering that whole piece. Let's see. Can I do this? Might be enough. Yeah, looks like it'll cover. Looks good. Okay, so I'm just going to take this piece, then I'm just going to unfold it and sew that line. Okay, I'm going to fold that back and then trim it. And press. Okay, now I'm just going to do the same thing with number 3. Oh, I love whenever I cut kind of a big piece. It's so much easier to know where that you're definitely going to cover everything. I love it. This is exactly why I tell you guys that all the time. You don't have to cut like a piece that's like, you know, 5 feet by 4 feet or anything like that. Just something that's a little bit bigger so that you're not like sweating the small stuff, you know? Okay, now I'm just going to fold this back and trim and press. Okay, so now I'm just going to trim this. I could have waited to do both of them at the same time, but I think I'm going to do them one at a time. So I'll have one complete piece and then we'll move on to the next one. Okay, so there's that piece number 1. It's ready. And now I'm going to take this one and I'm going to put my fabric pretty side away from me and covering number 1. And then I'm going to take number 2. I'm going to do that little fold down thing. I just feel like anytime you have any kind of triangle, if you want to fold down just to kind of make sure you're covering everything, then just do it. It's going to take a whole lot less time to do that than it will if you get it wrong and then you have to take it apart. So that's why I tend to do it quite a lot. Okay, that piece is nice and big, so I can just, I know it's going to cover everything, and here we go. I'm ready to sew. Let me just grab this, make sure I'm getting it on top of my plate here. Okay. And here we go. Okay, so now just going to fold that back and trim. And press. Okay. Now I'm going to do the same with number 3. I'm just going to use my fingernail just to kind of get it on that line. And then I'm going to make sure it's covering that spot, and it totally is. So now let's sew it. I'm going to fold it back and trim. And press. Okay, and then for the last piece, I'm going to turn number 4 to the top, move my blue fabric pretty side to me to the back of the template, and at least a 1/4 inch all the way around, and it is. So here we go. Okay, I'm going to fold back and trim. And press. Okay. Now I'm just going to trim my block. Okay, so now there's our little guy. That's what I made. I like it. I'm happy with it. Okay, so now we see our arrows. They're going to be going together at that point. So I want to make sure that my fabrics are right sides together. And this is the seam that we're going to be sewing on. So I'm going to make sure that that is all lined up. And the great thing is you don't have to match those points. There's really only the side points that we have to match. And that's easy peasy, right? So I'm just going to take my straight pin. I'm going to check the corner. Looks pretty good to me. And let's try this one. And there we go. I think that looks pretty good. All right, so I'm ready to sew it. Okay, now I'm just going to take the papers out of the seam allowance. And I'm going to press it. Okay, there's my little guy. I love him. Okay, so I'm going to put that one to the side. And now we're on number 9. Number 9 is pretty easy as well. So it looks like you could, go one of two ways where you could either make these colors the same and these colors the same, and it's just kind of like a, or you could put 4 different colors. You could do all sorts of things. So I think what I'm going to do, I think I want to put 4 different colors. So that's what I'm going to do. Okay. I'm going to choose my fabrics, and okay, I know that I want one of them to be the cream, so I'm going to just take the first one and let's just do it there. And of course I've been cutting my fabric all funky right there, so let me just do it like to there. Oh, I didn't figure out how far I gotta go. All right, hold on just a second here. And it looks like I'm gonna go to there. Okay. That's number 1. And on this particular one, I don't think it really matters. I'm gonna do, I think I'm gonna do a blue. Let's do a blue. I haven't done a whole bunch of blue. Oh wait, I got a piece up here. Will that fit? I think I can make that work. Okay, so let me take the selvage off. Okay, so I'm gonna put that right sides down, and then I'm gonna have that one is ready. And then I want one of the pieces to be this coral, and that should work. I'm just gonna cut it across. And cut off the selvage. And then I think I'm gonna do the green. No, I think I want to do purple, actually. Let's do purple. Oh, there's like a little mark in that fabric. Okay, no worries. I'll be able to just cut that out. I'll make it work. I'm just gonna cut across. All right, where was that line? It's here. Let me start on the other side and I'll worry about that later. Might regret that, but I don't think so. I think it'll be okay. All right. Okay, right side's down. This is an extra piece. So I'll keep that over there. Put all of this away. Okay. So now let's just do this one. And I don't think either way is going to matter. I'm going to try to just not even think about it. I'm just going to put it on there. All right, so here's number 1. And then I'm going to take number 2. And I think I'll do it. Let's fold it down. It'll just be so much quicker and easier if we just do the fold. And that way we can just see, hey, where's it going to go? There it is. All right, so I'm going to cover it all the way. That looks good. So let's sew that. And I'm just going to fold it back and trim it. And press. Okay, I'm going to trim this up. Okay. Ouch. All right, so now number 1, I'm just gonna make it the white one, or I keep saying white. It's cream. It's not white. And then I'm gonna fold this back because that made it a bit easier, actually, to just know where to put it without having to think very much. I like doing things that I don't have to think too much about. And okay, that's definitely gonna work. Okay. I didn't realize that piece was that big, but I'd much rather it be too big than too small. Anytime. Okay. I'm just going to fold that back and trim it. And press. Okay, now let's trim it up. Oops, almost tried to throw away my other piece. Oh my goodness. What's wrong with me? Okay. So there they are. Da 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 da. So if I flip them over, we're going to put them together there. I want to move them pretty sides together, and I'm going to be sewing on that bottom straight line. So now I'm just going to clip them. And I just sort of like feel along that paper edge and make sure that it's lined up together. That's all I do in the initial part, you know, like when I'm just putting my Wonder Clips on. Okay, taking a straight pin. First I'm going to go to the corners. Looks okay. That looks good. And I'm going to try this. I'm going to do this middle one. That looks good, actually. I think I'm going to test just one more of these lines to make sure that they're lining up across. Looks perfect. Okay, so let's sew. Okay. Do, do, do. Do, 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 do. Just going to take the papers out of our seam allowance. And I'm going to press the seam open. Okay, so there's my block. There it is, all finished. That's how I wanted it to be finished, and I love it. I think that looks really great. Okay, so we've got one more. Okay. We are going to be doing that piece, and that piece. Now you'll see on this one, there are two sets of arrows that are pointing to each other. And she has put number 1 together, which means put these two pieces together first, and then attach this piece here. Now, if you have been foundation paper piecing for a long time, like I have, you know instinctually that you could put these two together and then attach this one. Here's what I have to say, okay? There have been so many times when I have made videos like this one, or I've written patterns like this one, and I get questioned about why did I do it this way, or why did I do it that way? And honestly, you know, in this particular case, you could do it either way and it would be fine, okay? But there are a lot of times when the person who is writing the pattern has to actually think about the entire pattern backwards, and so that so that that person can let you know which part you should put together first, because it has to go that way in order for it to go together properly. Okay, so my advice is just follow the pattern. However it is that Alison decided to put this together, just follow the pattern, because she has either done it for a reason or done it for no reason other than that's just how she liked to do it. Okay, so either way, it's gonna work. Same thing as when I'm teaching how I foundation paper piece, I may do it this way, but I'm here to tell you that there are at least 3 or 4 different ways that you can foundation paper piece, and you're going to get the same result. So if you learn one way, and then another way comes along that you like better, for whatever reason, it doesn't even matter what it is, then you should do it that way. Because there are no quilt police. You are allowed to make your own decision about how you want to accomplish a goal. Okay? I'm off the soapbox now. Let's put our blocks together, because I'm excited to put this one together. So what do I want to do? I was thinking about this, like, okay, so you could make it into an X, right? You could totally do that. You could make it so that you have solid here, one solid down the middle. You could have your X be this part of the X is one color, that part is another color, and then these are all one color. You could do it that way. I mean, sky's the limit, right? Which that's what I really love about a lot of Alison's patterns, is that, you know, I'm telling you, go to Instagram and do hashtag Trinket 2023 or hashtag 2023 Trinket, because sometimes people will put it either way. And just look at all the different ways that people are putting them together, because you just change one little thing and it can make that block look completely different. Okay, so here's what I think I'm going to do. I think I'm going to, oh goodness, what do I want to do? I mean, I had in my head that I thought, okay, I'm definitely going to do this, you know. I'm kind of really digging how this came out. So I think what I might do is I might make my entire X into the cream color. And then I'll put one different color in each one of those. And I just want to see what it's going to look like. I think it's going to look great. Okay, so let's get started cutting our fabric. And let me pull this out. Okay, so I am going to take this one first, and I'm going to do number 1, which is going to be some of this cream fabric. Let me get this scissor. This big scissor is better. And I'm just going to cut straight down here. Okay. Now this is going to be, the number 1 is going to be number 1 on 2 of those, and it's laying flat. So I don't have to worry about folding it over, making sure that I have enough that it doesn't feel funky to me, whatever. So I'm just going to cut this right down the middle, and I'm going to use 1/2 for each one, and it'll be just fine. Okay. So I'm just going to fold that over, or flip it over right side down. And then number 2, I think I'm just going to go kind of down the line. I don't have any more of this blue, right? No, I don't. Okay. So I'm going to cut a piece of the blue for number 2. And I think I'm going to go, I like whenever I made it into the square, it made it so much easier. So I'm just going to do that for mine. I'm going to go there, and I'm going to cut to here. Okay. Let me just meet it in the middle. All right. Right side's down. And then for number 3, I think I'm going to do, okay, so I'm looking on this one, and I can see that there's a blue and a pink next to each other there. But, of course, I'm going to have it divided by the cream. So it's not like, you know, yeah. Let's see. I think I'm going to do the pink as the first color in the other one, which will be this one over here. So I'm going to just use this template to cut that. It's the same size, so no biggie. I'm just going to cut like to there, and up here. And get my scissor in there. Get in there. Just when I almost got it, I like went down. Okay, you know what? Come on. Come apart. There it goes. Okay. This is what I get for like doing a big stack of fabric like this. But it's the easiest way for me to do it on the camera, so that's what I'm doing. Oh, I went way too far. Okay, no worries. It's not a big deal. It's not the end of the world. We're going to live. All right, so I'm going to put that one right sides down on the other side. And now I'm going to put I have a big old piece of purple. So let me do this. And I'm going to put this as the other side of the blue. And I'm just going to take the blue and lay it down here, because basically it's the same width. It's the same size, both sides. So I'll just lay that down. Now I can just finish cutting across. All right. Now one can stay up there. And then this green one, that might work as well. Let me see about this blue piece. I think it'll be just fine. Okay, so blue, and then purple, coral, and then green. Okay. So now all I need to cut is this one. So here's the thing. Since I'm going to make this all the same cream color, I have a couple of options, okay? I could cut a piece here and then cut a piece for 2 and cut a piece for 3. The reason I would do that, let's say if I wanted to make that decision, the reason I would make that decision is so that the fabric is attached to the paper, right? The second reason I might do that is for looks, for how I want it to look whenever I put it all together. Because maybe I want to have that seam there, right? And the other thing you could do is obviously just cut one big piece and either just, you know, let it flop or whatever. But here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to cut one big piece so that I can show you what I would do to make this work without having to sew this and have 3 pieces and all that. Okay, so I'll show you what I would do. Let's get that done. I'm just going to cut a piece across because, you know, because why not? Okay. And just make it a little bit easier. Okay. So now I have that piece and I'm going to fold my fabric up. Put it away. Okay, let me give this a quick little press because I want it to be nice and flat. Okay, so here's my fabric. And of course, I'm trying to get that little thread off. It's driving me nuts. Okay, so all I'm going to do is I'm going to take my piece. And of course, it is pretty side away from me. And I have this ready to go. So here's what I do, guys. I am going to come on over. Let me just put that one there. This one here, just have them ready. I'm going to change my stitch length. I'm going to increase it all the way to the largest basting stitch that I have, which is a 5mm. And I'm going to take this and I'm just going to put it right under my needle. And if you wanted to, you could do some sort of fussy cut if you want. I'm not going to worry about it right now. I'm just going to do this. Now, I'm going to lower my needle anywhere along that line, but you do want to sort of have your stitch go at least most of the entire length to hold the fabric down. Now, I am just going to put a basting stitch along there to hold the fabric down. Okay, so here I go. I'm just gonna, what did I do? Oh, I didn't lower the presser foot. Sorry. Okay, so here we go. And I take it slow, guys, only because I just don't want any wavering in it. I just want to make sure I'm going to get it right on that line. Okay. You could like go there. I'm just gonna flip it around and do the other side. You can do that, really. It's, again, as I mentioned before, loads of things that we do in quilting are just a personal preference. So you do whatever it is that you prefer, and it is okay. I will just kind of use my hand to make sure it's smooth underneath the paper. Okay. I did go one stitch too far, but it is a basting, so I can just pull it up. It's not a big deal. And it doesn't even, it doesn't even have to end up staying if it starts flying out. We're going to, you could take it out anyway. It's not a big deal. So I'm just going to trim it up like I would any other piece. Okay, I'm just going to go to the other side. Only thing you have to be careful of is that you're making sure that it's staying flat. I might just try to, it's so like tight that I might just do a little tiny thing like that. It's kind of hard to see sometimes with the ruler when you have it so tight right there. Okay, and this side. And just be very careful. Don't go zooming in with your rotary cutter. There's no need to do that. Okay, so now this is ready. Okay, and I'll show you when we're putting them all together how I do that as well. Okay, so now let's move on to our next piece of the block. All right, I'm just going to take this one. All right, so I'm going to turn my cream fabric down. I'm just going to lay that across the middle, and both sides are the same, so honestly it doesn't matter which one you want to do first, but just to be doing it the proper way, I'm going to turn number 2 to the top, and I'm going to hold my fabric. Probably going to have to do a little funky moving. It would just make me feel better. I would prefer to do this, and instead of making a mistake and then having to you know, pull my stitches out. Nobody ever wants to do that, like ever. So this is what I do, and I'm just going to make sure it all fits. You could actually just take it like this and just lay it on there, because that looks good. That looks just fine. So I'm just going to open it up and head over here to sew. Bloop. Y'all like my sound effects? Okay. Number 2. Oops. I totally forgot to lower my stitch length back down to 1. Okay, so now I'm just gonna back stitch, because it's not that, it doesn't matter. You could do it however you want. You could just pull it all out and start again. It really doesn't matter. Okay, so here I go. All right, I'm gonna fold it back and trim. And press. Okay, so now I'm going to fold down on the line between 1 and 3, just so I make sure that my fabric is going to cover that whole spot. I'm just going to lay it on top there. Looks good. I'm going to pull it down a little just to, might as well. All right, and now I'm just going to sew this. Okay, now I'm just going to fold it back and trim. And press. Okay, so let's trim this. Okay, so now I got that one. Now let's do this one. All right, and I'm just going to, once again, fold down on that line between 1 and 2. And then either one, doesn't matter, just pick one. If you have a preference. Okay, wait, I know I want that to be right there. Now let's move this. Okay. There we go, do it that way. Perfect. Okay, so we know it's all covered. Ready to sew. And I'm going to fold it back and trim. And press. Okay, now I'm going to take this fabric. We're going to fold back on this line. And I'm just going to make sure it's all covered. I think that's good. It's barely covering on the sides, but I wanted to use that piece since it was left over. So I don't want to, like, if I can make it work, I'm going to squeeze it in there. That's what I'm going to do. Pretty sure everything will be covered. Okay, here we go. And now we're just going to fold it back and trim. And press. Okay, and let's trim it. Okay, so if I have these and I lay them out where I can see all the numbers, okay, we can see that right here is where we want to join these two pieces first. So I'm going to move this one over a little bit, and I'm going to take these and I'm going to put them right sides together. And we're going to be sewing right along that line. So I'm just sort of trying to center it by looking at the lines on the drawn part. And again, I'm going to use my fingers at the top here to try to get them like, so it feels like they're touching exactly right at the top. And also, because you have like a smaller piece like this, it could tend to want to shift, which is another good reason for using the Wonder Clips. Okay, so I'm going to take a straight pin. And I'm gonna see that these two corners match up. Wow, that looks great. I'm like really happy with that. Okay. And that one is off a little bit. I can see what it's doing. Jellybean, baby, you keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Thank you, baby. Okay, so I can tell that I didn't put my finger along the top of that really well. So I need to pull it down just a tad. Okay. So I'm going to redo that one. That looks better. Okay, perfect. Now I'm just going to kind of try to do it in the middle here so I can make sure that the lines are lining up on both sides, even just going across, and that looks great. Okay, so I'm going to sew that one. And I'm just going to sew right over that basting stitch. Okay, now here's what I have done sometimes. In fact, I'll show you. Where is my... Oh, duh, he's right in my face. So I take my stiletto and I can, as I'm getting to that part, I can just pull the basting stitch out. That way I don't have, you know, I mean, there's no reason why you can't sew the 1 millimeter over the 5 millimeter, except at all costs, just try to reduce bulk, because you're going to have this middle part here that is already going to kind of start feeling a little bulky. Okay, so I'm going to go from the end. And I always, just to let you know, because you may have been thinking this before, I just kind of eyeball where it's going to be going across, like straight across. I just make a guess. All right, I'm getting close, so I'm just going to sort of lift that one up and maybe, you know, a couple of them, right? There we go. And then I'll just start sewing over it. And I can just take this Wonder Clip out and take some of these out, because it's going to hold down with all these other Wonder Clips. It should be just fine. And I won't do too many just because, look, I just don't want to take the chance of it shifting. I'll just be honest. So now I'm getting closer, so I'm going to take another one out. I'll take that one out. Take the Wonder Clip out, and then I'll get some more of these stitches out. And again, I just take it kind of slow, because to me, it's better to go slow and make sure you're getting it exactly where you want it, rather than having to do it again. And it will ensure that it's going to look really perfect, which is the whole point of FPP anyway. Well, maybe not the whole point, but it's a big selling point for me. And I don't take the Wonder Clip off until the very end. Okay, so all of the basting stitch just came out. So I'm just going to be really careful. All right, I should be okay. I'm gonna just use my fingernail, make sure I hold it down steady. Okay. Now I'm going to take the papers out of the seam allowance. And I'm going to press that seam open. Okay, so you can see I've got that pressed open. And now I am going to do it the other side. So now we're going to put it together. This is the second batch or second round, I don't know. So we're gonna put them right sides together and we're going to line them up. Now at this point, now that you're putting this one in, you can kind of make sure that your point is going straight toward the other point. It means I need to move it over a little bit. But that's a good way to do it. And, you know, just eyeball it at first. And that's all you really need to do at the beginning, just to make sure that you're getting it on that line, right? Okay. I'm gonna put one more, I think. All right, now I'm gonna take my straight pin and do my little test again. See if I've got that in the right spot. Perfect. Oh my goodness. Okay, that looks good. And oh my goodness, that looks great. Okay, so I'm just gonna make sure now that my line is straight, relatively straight. And oh my gosh, okay, it's perfect, it's perfect. So now let's just, I'm gonna sew it down. What I wasn't thinking about just now was I probably should sew on this side. That way I can take my basting stitch out. So all I'm going to do is I'm very carefully, especially now that I found it's all perfect, I'm just going to flip it over because it's better if my Wonder Clips have the flat part that are going down against the plate. So I'm just going to flip them over real quick. Not moving anything. Okay, now I think I'm gonna put one more. If I can get it facing the right way. Okay, I'm just gonna put it kind of close to that one. And now I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm just gonna kind of start my basting stitch a couple of things over. I think that's good. All right. Get my thread out. And now let's kind of eyeball that. And start stitching. I'm gonna take that first one out. Y'all, I don't know why, but I feel like I want some pizza. I have no idea why I'm even sharing this with you, but for some reason, the past 10 minutes, all I've been thinking about is pizza. Okay. Well, pizza and my FPP. It looks to me like this might be a stitch. Oh, no, it was just something else. Okay. Oh, what is that? Is it? I don't know what that is. Okay, let me just take my next basting stitch out. No worries. It's a little bit tighter right here because I have like the fabric kind of coming over toward where the line is. Okay, let's do the next one. There we go. I'm not really sure what that is, to be honest with you. It's another thread from somewhere. I can't tell. I'm just going to leave it. And I mean, you know, I am pretty fiddly whenever I'm doing this. It's honestly, it's just a me thing. I've always sewed like this. I don't know why. Perfectionist, I guess. You know, I'm always striving for it. I don't think any of us will ever achieve it, and that's quite all right. I just, for some reason, I don't know, just always done this. Not that it ever helps very much, because let me tell you, I can make some crooked blocks. I certainly can. Okay, let me take that one out. Let's get this out. Hope I'm not blocking your view too much. I'm trying to do the best I can to let you guys see every single thing I'm doing. Okay. Oop, I didn't realize I was that far in. Uh-oh. There we go. Come on. Get on out of there. Okay. Now, while I'm almost finished putting this on, I just want to say again that this is my preferred way to do it. If you wanted to leave the basting stitch in, if you wanted to sew down all of the fabric, I mean, all of those things are options. And you know, you should definitely find the technique and the look that you want. Okay, so if what I'm doing now you think is absolutely cray balls, that's okay. You don't have to do this. You really don't. There's, like I said, there are plenty of different ways that you can put these together. This one is one of the more fiddly ones, but it's my preference because I don't like bulk. That's number one. And I would prefer not to, if I'm going to just have it, if I'm going to turn it into just a one color thing, then I don't want to have like a whole bunch of extra seams if I don't have to. I'd rather just do this. But that's my preference. So just find your own is all I'm saying. Find your own way. And you should be just fine. And we are almost done, guys. Woohoo! Okay, now with this one, I am going to take the papers out of the seam allowance right here. but I am also going to take it out of that middle part because you don't really need it for anything. And at least as far as I've been thinking it through, and it's just going to get caught in there because right now you can already see that this first piece of fabric is like almost covering that whole thing. So as soon as I put another piece of fabric over it and then I'm pressing it down, you're just not going to get it out. So in this sort of instance, I just take it out. Right? So I'm going to just slip my very pointy tweezers under there. And then once you have one side undone, you can pretty much just pull it. Because especially if you have a 1.0 stitch length, it's going to come right out. It might rip a little bit just because it might have been better if I had just used my fingers, but I like using the tweezers because I can get right under there. Okay, so that's done. Let me go and press this last seam open. Okay, so here is my block number 10, and oh my goodness. Okay, so you may not like it. I love it. I love it so much. Okay, so let's go backwards. This is number 10, and this is number 9. Maybe I'll put them like this. And then I have number 8 and number 7 and my number 6. Jellybean, we're looking at your tail, buddy. So these are all the blocks. And thank you so much for sewing with me. I am so excited to get to the next 5 blocks. So I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.